Next game is the Titans and the Jaguars. The Jaguars destroyed them 34-14. The Titans didn't run very many plays in this one. 13 of 17 for Will Levis, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. On a per-play basis, this isn't terrible, so I wouldn't totally count out Will Levis because it's been a bad string of games here lately. Because, this is a good completion percentage. 13 completions and 158 yards from it is not bad. 2 touchdowns and no interceptions is good stuff. So if you were hanging in there with Will Levis, still hang in there with him. I do not think this is a reason to move off of him. But at the same time, he shouldn't be the quarterback that you're expecting something from every single week because it's going to be super inconsistent like it's been lately. Chris Moore was the leading rusher, 1 carry, 38 yards. We'll do it in a game like this because Derrick Henry also had 38 yards but 10 carries. Really concerning here lately. He also had the 1 catch for 6 yards. I still think you got to play Derrick Henry because he's Derrick Henry, but he's probably not going to be in that top 10 running back discussion anymore because these last 2 weeks have just been abysmal. And he's still getting the majority of work. He only had the 1 catch here. Tyjae Spears had 2 catches and 4 carries. So Henry is still getting a sizable amount of work here. He gets almost double the amount of touches that Tyjae Spears does. So hang in there with Derrick Henry. I wouldn't trade him here because this is going to be at his lowest point also. But if it comes out that Henry has had some injury this entire time, Tyjae Spears becomes a top 10 back if Henry is out. So keep that in mind. I think Spears is a luxury handcuff at this point. And Will Levis just had the 4 carries for 2 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, if you're going to play any pass receiver on the Titans, it's easily going to be Hopkins. I don't think anybody else is really playable. 4 catches, 59 yards, and a touchdown. He has a connection with Will Levis. Keep playing him as you normally would. Really solid every single week sort of play. But it is going to be pretty up and down because of the rookie quarterback. Chris Moore just had the 1 catch for 49 yards. Tyjae Spears added 2 catches for 12. Kyle Phillips had a catch for 10. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine had a catch for 7. Josh Wiley, the tight end from Cincinnati, had a catch for 7. Derrick Henry just added the 1 catch for 6. Chig Okonkwo just had the 1 catch for 6. And Jeffrey Simmons, the defensive lineman, came in, caught a touchdown pass for 2 yards. So drop Chig Okonkwo. Don't drop Derrick Henry. Tyjae Spears, I think you only really hang on to if you have Derrick Henry. And DeAndre Hopkins, play him every single week. He seems to be like, this whole offense is going up and down. Hopkins looked like he was going down there for a second. Then he comes back with a solid performance today. Now Derrick Henry is down. Maybe it's his time to come up. That's going to be my biggest hope as someone who rosters Derrick Henry in a few leagues. Just hope that he's about to come up the same way DeAndre Hopkins did in this game. For the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, as soon as we were about to drop him, 24-32, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He also had 5 carries for 17 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. This is not going to be the norm for him. This is his first game above 20 fantasy points, and he goes off for 30. So this is most likely going to be his highest scoring game of the year. I still think he's a step below like the CJ Strouds and the Tuas and those sorts of like bottom level top 10 conversation sort of quarterbacks. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is there. I think he's more 15 sort of range. But still, this is all like if you were a Trevor Lawrence supporter, this is all the evidence you need to keep him on your team. If you keep him, like if you had him for this game, you might as well hang on to him and see what happens because this could be the start of something really good. And the division seems to be leaning towards the Jaguars more and more. The Texans might have something to say for that towards the end of the year, but still, Jags looking really solid. It's possible that Trevor Lawrence gets something spark off of this game. And this was the first week back for Zay Jones in a long time. This offense really seems to flow better with Zay Jones in the lineup. So keep that in mind when you're playing Trevor Lawrence. See if Zay Jones is out there. Travis Etienne had 14 carries for 52 yards, 3.7 yards per carry. He also had 3 catches for 7 yards. Really okay performance. Not the best. We expect more from Travis Etienne, but you still got to play him every single week. Tank Bigsby, 9 carries for 21 yards. Interesting that his carries are starting to go up. Dearness Johnson had 7 carries for 20 yards. Those two didn't really do much with those carries, though. It's still Travis Etienne, by far the most productive back. Calvin Ridley had a carry for 18, and Trevor Lawrence had the 5 for 17. Calvin Ridley had a monster day. 7 catches, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like clockwork, if Zay Jones is in, you got to play Calvin Ridley on your team. He does so much better with Zay Jones in the lineup. Before this, all of his 20-point games came when Zay Jones was in. And Zay, four catches, 20 yards. He doesn't really do a whole lot on his own, but he opens things up for Calvin Ridley so much. So great to see this offense back at full strength. Christian Kirk, 3 catches, 48 yards. If Calvin Ridley is getting targets like this, Christian Kirk is going to suffer a little bit, but 7.8 isn't the worst thing in the world, but just pretty low as far as a receiver goes. Dearness Johnson had a catch for 34 yards. Evan Engram, just 4 catches for 29. Disappointing couple of games here, but I still think you play him as you normally would. Top 15 sort of tight end. Luke Farrell had 2 catches for 21 yards, and Travis Etienne had 3 catches for 7.